Hello, Planetiers. I will be the host of the next session with the main team Building the Future. We will discuss three main topics: decarbonization, well-being, and resilience. My name is João Gavião. I'm an architect, a trainer, and a passive house designer at HomeGrid. We at HomeGrid, we were pioneers in implementing the passive house standard in Portugal, and I'm also one of the founding members of Passive House Portugal Association, which is the national representative of the passive house sector in Portugal. So basically, my background is the building sector, but we will try to expand the scope of our discussion. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be the host of this session in such important event. We will have three speakers that will share their knowledge and their vision about these issues. At my side, we have Paul Peterson, that we have seen his presentation just a minute ago. He's a CEO of several companies, but basically we'll try to focus in his area of expertise, which is the HVAC systems efficiency, which is heating, cooling, and air conditioning, with a general goal, which is solve water scarcity. Then we have Nuno Fideles. Nuno is an architect. He works at Savills. Savills is a company that provides sustainable consultancy in the real estate. And he is currently head of sustainability at Savills. So basically Savills, they provide certification, building certification assessments in several
areas of
certifications, types of certifications, more holistic ones. And then we have João Machado, which is a city councillor from the Aveiro municipality, and he has the responsibility in in Aveiro city about in relation to the environment and technology. So he will bring his area of expertise to this discussion. We will hope to have a lot of questions from your side. First, I will try to introduce the first question, the first topic of discussion, taking in consideration these three main topics: decarbonization, well-being, and resilience, and taking in consideration that specifically in Portugal, we see that, for instance, our building stock is generally characterized by lack of performance in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of thermal insulation and thermal comfort, in terms of good air quality. I would like to ask first Paul, what is the diagnosis that you can share with us about these three topics in cities worldwide? Then I will ask the same question with a different scope to the next speakers, but generally, what's the diagnosis that you can share with us about these three main topics worldwide?
Well, the biggest
problem that I see in urban development, and especially in development of built spaces and urban environments in the global south, is the rapid adoption rate of air conditioning. Right? I'm not an expert in building efficiency or architecture, but the mechanical systems and heating, ventilation, air conditioning is where we have deep expertise. The energy consumption of built spaces, not including data centers, because they're way off the charts, is as high as 30 to 40% of the energy consumption of a residential or commercial industrial building. So we're tackling the problem from the perspective of not architectural engineering or design of the building itself, but the systems, the integrated systems in HVAC. And again, as I spoke about a few minutes ago, the largest energy consumer in HVAC by far, about 80%, is brute force vapor compression to compress the humidity out of the atmosphere before it hits the refrigerant cycle. If we can reduce that by over 50%, that by definition makes the building, no matter how you construct it, what materials you use, what sun shading you use, or how many solar panels or green rooftops you can put on that building, that reduces that building's energy consumption and impact by about 30 to 40%, just that alone. So to me, that's the biggest impact that I think we can make. And as architectural standards are being developed and required by, in the United States, for example, ASHRAE, in the global south, if we can incorporate these higher standards and this latest technology, then that reduces the impact on all of us, all over the world.
And as we were discussing privately outside, especially in climates and locations that are very hot and humid, the main focus in the building service of the buildings is not to reduce the temperature, but to dehumidify the air. Even in high standards like passive house or other building standards, the amount of energy that is required to dehumidify the air is a lot more superior than the energy that we use to cool down the air and to reduce the mean temperature from the buildings.
Correct. So AirJoule attacks the latent load. There's a latent load and a sensible load. The sensible load is the temperature of the air. The latent load is the amount of energy in the water vapor. That's the most difficult to remove, and that's what AirJoule attacks. Now, what's interesting, even further beyond that, what AirJoule can do, what we've demonstrated, is we collect so much water, we condense so much water from the humidity through the process that we can then use that water in an evaporative cooling process, right? Evaporative cooling is the most efficient way to cool a space. Yeah. So you can use outside water source, municipal water, to evaporate and then run it through basically a swamp cooler to cool a space. Or you could extract that water from the humidity itself and use that in evaporative cooling, which creates a COP, a coefficient of performance, of about 15 to 17, which is a number engineers will understand, but the typical coefficient of performance of a DX refrigerant-based air conditioning system is about 3 to 3.5. When using water extracted not from municipal source, but from the atmosphere itself, in evaporative cooling, you now have a coefficient of performance of cooling of your building of about 15, 16, or 17. It's a major, major difference.
Yeah. I would like to ask now Nuno the same question in relation about these three main topics: decarbonization, well-being, and resilience. What is your view about the building stock and the cities in Portugal? we in Portugal are at
The bottom. Yeah. Thank you for being. I'm very pleased to be here. Well, at this moment we are still a baby in terms of decarbonization and in terms of improving our building stock. It's true that after the 70s we had a huge quantity of new buildings being constructed because we had a lot of troubles of having people inside houses, mainly in the main cities, where on the surroundings we create a lot of, not ghettos, but a lot of, I have to say this in Portuguese, sorry, barracas, and kind of no structure for residential. And then the construction was very rapidly. So this did not give conditions for the construction because it was a cheap construction. Mainly, before that, we know how to construct, we know how to use natural ventilation, we know all that, but that was lost, and then when it came the AVAC, it's more simple to construct, just a masonry, simple, and then we put the AVAC, and we still get the certified energetic because we get good weather inside of the houses. That was a huge mistake. And now we are improving, but still starting to 2021, where the new energy law for buildings came out. It was obligation to do NZEB buildings, and just of the new constructions, we are with 3% of that in terms of new construction, so it's very poor. And we have some goals to achieve starting 2030 about that the new buildings, and these will be in public buildings, will be obliged to be NZEB buildings, so we will see how we are going to get there, but still, and with this bad picture, I'm resilient, and I'm resilient that we are going to improve. We're going to regenerate cities. It's possible. Humans are resilient, and I think that with collaboration, resilience, and having people starting thinking correctly on this, not just construction by construction, but drawing better cities, we have so good architects, urbanists, sociology people, psychologists, everything that can help to do a better city, and we have to use that. And I was talking here with João on my side, and I was saying, I think that the municipalities at this moment have a huge role, but I think that the engagement with people will be very important to proceed to this improvement on decarbonization, well-being and resilience, because we have to communicate them and make them feel that it's possible by engagement, by talking with them. And there are solutions to make buildings better. We already have done that. We are doing that with several projects on Savills, that regeneration of buildings is possible. To give an example, the last one that we did, we mitigate 66% of the CO2 emissions of the former building. On the same building, using the same structure, the same facade, but by changing some of the infrastructures in terms of glasses, or just by putting a film, not changing at all, so renovating, doing recycling, we improve the building performance, and it's an NZEB building.
So to be clear, we will discuss this later on, but it's clearly that we need to have a huge renovation wave in the building sector in Portugal, and we have to point to high-level standards. So we cannot do, unfortunately, is the typical type of renovation of only cleaning up the face of the building and nothing changes in terms of the performance?
No.
We'll have to go just
you have
beyond that.
to go, but it's not so expensive
Yeah.
as a traditional. And I think sometimes it's the lack of knowledge and the myth that is created that is expensive, that is not possible, that is many things to do. And you now, today, you have tools to be less expensive and to be able to do this because sustainability also is finance. Also, you have to, if you cannot do something, yes, we have to do, the building is going to be expensive, it's not balanced. So, and on the building and redrawing a building, we have to think always that it's people that live there. And sometimes we forget that.
Yeah. And just to clarify the audience, Nuno talked about the NZEB standard, which is mandatory now in Portugal, is the acronym for nearly zero energy buildings. That is an obligation that came from the European Union to every country in Europe. So we must reduce the energy demand of the building so that the energy that we need to operate the building can come easily from renewable sources.
Exactly.
So I will ask now João Machado. We talk about a lot of in terms of the building sector because it's a huge piece of the puzzle because we spend, unfortunately, 90% of our time in buildings, living in our houses, in our work places, our children in schools. But the problem must be solved in a larger scope. So I ask João the same question, but now focusing in the city of Aveiro. What is the diagnosis in terms of these three main topics: decarbonization, well-being, and resilience?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I'd like to apologize because my English is very, very poor. So I will try to do my best, okay? And when I need your help, okay, João? So I'm economist, I'm not architect. So I will speak about what we did and what we do in Aveiro. I want to talk about a little about one initiative, Aveiro Tech City. Aveiro Tech City is an initiative that, together with partners like University of Aveiro, Instituto de Telecomunicações, Altis Labs, and another ones, we create this project based in 4 axes: education, training, technology, and challenge. The idea is use technology to improve the quality of life for all citizens, helping management entities collect and share information about new and exciting ways to manage the city, from mobility, education, culture, and environment. Aveiro Tech City aims to learn and experiment with technology as means to build a sustainable city. One of the outcomes of this initiative is Aveiro Tech City Living Lab. It's made up of high-tech communication system that can handle many IoT devices and sensors, especially to the use for keeping an eye on the environmental. We also have the urban digital platform, which can gather and process data from various sources. In what he did with this platform and with this job. we make the next step. And the next step, it was in the mobility in the city. I'd like to share some change we will have in the territory. The biggest project we have, the decarbonization of public transportation, is our electric ferry boat, which was inaugurated last week and will replace an old diesel ferry boat that connects Aveiro Harbour to São Jacinto Beach. This electric ferry will allow an estimated reduction of about 300 tons of CO2 per year and represent an investment of 9 million euros, including the sharing infrastructure. Another project related to the nautical area is the total conversion in the 27 Moliceiros boats that conduct tourist tours in the city waters canals. The municipality invests in the charging network in 10 marine docks where 20 boats are based. Then the boats' owners invest in the electrification of their boats, installing batteries and electric engines. The project is expected to conclude at the end of this year, and we hope to have the first boats operating in the first quarter of the next year. We anticipate saving 400 tons of CO2. Another one, and last one, to the first step, staying in the mobility, I also want to mention the acquisition of electric buses operation in the city. We started with 4 buses, and in the near future, we will have more, to have a total of 14 units that will potentially save 419 tons of CO2 annually, which half of our fleet operating in electric mode. The investment here is fully made by our concessionary Transdev. This is some examples, and I want to finish with another one. I'd like to share the C-Sense initiative, where we engage the cycle community by developing IoT device in private bikes, which in turn allows the users to have an advanced braking light for a fraction of the retail price, and the municipality receive important anonymized data on acceleration, curves, braking, and other relevant data. This data allows to the public service teams to analyze more effectively the most dangerous intersection and plan the necessary mitigating actions. Okay. This is some projects that we did in the last 3 years.
Okay, thank you, João. I will go back to Paul again. And now the question is about looking at the future. So what is your personal vision of the future, taking again these 3 topics under consideration? And as you mentioned earlier, how can we overcome the current challenges that you also mentioned, like the fast-growing cities, especially in Southeast Asia, with the rising energy demand of those buildings and those cities? So what's your vision for the future?
I think we understand the decarbonization impact of AirJoule in built spaces. That's obvious. We can reduce the energy consumption in the biggest energy consumer of a home or a building or a data center by more than half. That's obvious. The well-being and resilience, however, I want to touch on that briefly, and I think it applies to your question. If a municipality or a new construction or a new city has AirJoule-enabled systems in their built spaces, that reduces the demand and the load on the municipal water supply dramatically. And delivering condensed, distilled, pure, PFAS-free water at the source on each building to each resident is certainly a better alternative than relying on old, crumbling infrastructure. So the well-being of the tenants, residents, the citizens of the municipality, and the resilience of the community itself in times of drought or political strife or conflict is clearly impacted by incorporation of AirJoule technology anywhere in the world. Personally, I think the greatest impact and what gets me most excited and most of our team every day is the impact on the water scarcity crisis in developing economies. Developing economies is a euphemism for the global south and poor people of the world who die by the millions every year from water scarcity and waterborne illnesses. And if we can drop into villages, schools, hospitals, communities in India, Bangladesh, Sub-Saharan Africa, above ground wells, that is worth doing. That is worth national governments, NGOs, our company, others investing heavily into. Dollar for dollar, it's the most impactful application of any technology I've seen in my 30 years in the business of renewables, clean tech, green tech. So the most important thing that we can do, I think, is incorporate technologies like AirJoule, and there may be others that are better than ours, and I'm happy to support those because of the impact. There are millions and millions of people around the world and millions and billions of unborn babies yet to come into this world where they do not or will not have access to potable water. Desalination isn't enough, right? Desalination isn't enough.
And water scarcity is not only a problem in the poorest countries. We are facing this precisely in Portugal, where a vast majority of our country is in risk to become a desert. So it's also important that we can bring this line of thought to implement it also in our territory. I want to ask Nuno, returning to the point that you leave us before. I personally, I try to do this exercise in every project that we are involved, and almost we find out always the same answer. To achieve in the building sector, in one building or standalone or in several buildings, to achieve the best performance of the building is the cheapest way to build it, because when we optimize the solutions to design our buildings, we are going through the optimum cost benefit. I have no doubt about that. Definitely. When we are talking about the building performance. And taking, which I agree with your consideration, I again do the same question that I did to Paul. What is your vision for the future? Taking the diagnosis that you shared with us before.
Well, I'm an optimist, to be honest. So I think that we're going to improve. I think that we have to look back to our history. We already built a city that was optimized. When we go to Lisbon, to downtown, to Baixa, that was made. That whole neighborhood was optimized. We reuse the material of the earthquake to level the downtown. Then we create a city that was made by, I'm not know how to say this in English, orthogonal.
Orthogonal axis.
Orthogonal. To create spaces for air to flow from the river to refresh the area. So we know how to do this. We have to just to look to the history and read that again. So it's possible. Already was done. All the windows were on the same shape, meaning one broken window could be bought or redone everywhere. It was the same window. So we know how to optimize, we know how to create this, we already did this. So what we have is to be more humbled and look to the history that gave us natural ventilation, ways of produce energy from water and wind. So it's possible. We know we can regenerate spaces, we can regenerate city. I think rehabilitation is very important. Create communities, like we have to. So I remember to go to my grandmother's house and to live on a small village, and where we could see the community working together to get the bread from one side, to have the other person that did the meat, and everyone was collaborating in the positive way. We can redo this, and I think definitely we can redraw the cities. For instance, Parque das Nações, for me, it's a great example of regeneration of a city, where we have on that just not residential, just not office areas, but we have residential, we have services, we have offices, and people, if they want, they can live there and do by walking all the tasks that they have to do during a day. That is what we have to rethink. That is how we have to redraw the cities, not just putting that this is residential, stop, but no, giving different ways of being there on the neighborhood, recreating neighborhoods like we recreate communities in the middle of a desert or middle of a jungle. We have to know how to do this, and this is one of the ways that I think that can be done, is being done already in some places in Europe, Africa, and South America, and I think definitely if we want, it's possible. If we going to get it, I hope so.
And we have to work together as a community to build that future that we want. João, I will ask you the same question, but focusing in Aveiro city. What is your vision for the future of Aveiro? How can we live in Aveiro city and Aveiro region in the next 20 or 30 years? What can we expect from the municipality?
The best region to live, of course, because we made a lot of work in these areas. We have a lot of work in water. We have a region company of water where we work together, and Aveiro and the other municipalities only have one goal. The citizens have water with quality and save water for the next generations. So we have a lot of work in this area. In the area of waste, we have we need help about the country. It's not possible only the city and the citizens make work in this area, because we need change a lot. We cities and we citizens. Today, the rate of recycling, it will be 15%, but in the real is 20%. And we have a lot of work in this area in the last 20 years. So we need to think what we did, but we need to think what you need to do to break this thing. We have a lot of people, we don't make recycling. It's not possible because we need our não se diz aterro, não sei como é que se diz.
Landfills.
Landfills. It's over. So we need to put in our mind that we need whole change, and not waiting if our political guys like me only you work for us. No, we need community, and I think you lost in last years the spirit of community. So if you need to deliver to the next generation the earth what we receive and what you want, we need to change a lot.
If I may help, sorry, and I'm changing here. The to engage people is very important.
Yes.
More important to communicate this well. And I think there's a lack of communication and a lack of engagement for people to feel that they are doing something that at the end accomplished the goal. And people don't feel that. So this is difficulty. We have to explain people, we have to go to the schools, we have to go to the neighborhood, we have to talk with people and say, let's do this. We invite you to be more collaborative because of you can gain with this action, to do this and improve. And people do not know, for instance, when they do the recycling, where do my garbage go? What is the utility of this? So if we don't communicate well, we don't engage the people for these goals, we're not going to make it. So it's very important for the political decisions to engage people, to communicate better, to educate, take to schools, take to the work this message that all can won just by doing our stuff ourselves, but as a whole and not individually.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we can now open the discussion to the audience. If you have a question, a comment to share with our speakers, please just raise your hand. I think the microphone can be passed to you. And in the meantime, I totally agree with the point of the community, bringing the people together so that they can be part of the solution, of the decision making. And also another part I think it's important is to measure. We have to monitor so that we can be
have
aware.
Data. To have data to know where to act, definitely.
Thank you. Question for Paul. Paul, how far are we away from getting in a situation where we can get your technology in a place like Northern Ghana, in a community there? Absolutely agree, it's like absolutely needed out there. How far away are we from actually getting it out there?
I think I understand your question. I apologize, I'm a bit hard of hearing. I'm former Air Force and I spent my entire life around jet engines, so I wear hearing aids.
I'll say a bit louder.
I think I heard you. How far along are we towards commercialization? Technically, we are at TRL 8.5, technology readiness level, beyond proof of concept, in production version manufacturing, and partnering with OEMs for scalable manufacturing and distribution. The patent portfolio is in place. The prototypes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 have been evolved, iterated, and now ready for production version manufacturing. Now, at what scale, though? What systems, right? This technology is applicable from, in fact, the origin of the air-joule system was designed to increase the efficiency of air conditioning on electric vehicles. That's the origin. Because air conditioning on an electric vehicle reduces the energy, reduces the energy density of the battery pack so dramatically that there's a range anxiety problem. That's why we originally developed it. That's a very small system. Developing systems about the size of this table is where we are now for residential, light industrial. We have designs for systems that are as big as a 40-foot shipping container that will produce, you know, a cooling effect for entire data centers, or thousands and thousands of liters of water per day for an entire village or a school or a hospital. We expect to be in manufacturing of residential off-grid systems in 2024, 2025, large systems.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one final question up there. I asked to have a brief question and brief answers because we are now reaching the end of our time.
Yeah, it's
Please.
good. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's good that you have raised the question of having people involved in schools and everyone involved. So in case we want to achieve like this sustainable urban living, but in fact, we are also skipping two moments. One is to map all this and to make like a mapping of how things should be done to have like a sustainable urban living. So we have to talk about decarbonization, well-being and resilience, which is great, but we need to implement it, and we need to have implementation tools on top of it, and we need to have money. Because I believe that everyone would love to have like rooftops with solar rooftops for their old buildings, and they would love to have all these skills and tools to make a better living for everyone. But the problem is also the price, and how community and how local authorities and how politicians will help, or do you think to help people for them to accept all these changes? It's not about people, it's about politicians' hands, I believe, like the main bottleneck for this problem. Thank you.
Any comment?
I agree. Since the beginning of the century, 20th century, it has been politicians that have raised these, creating cities, and after the 50s, more political has been. And I think this is an issue of also educate politicians. I believe in that. It's not sorry, João. But definitely I agree what you said, because it's always a political decision. That's why one of the things, for instance, that we are doing in Savills is creating a kind of a tool to give to politicians a tool for them to ask people to create that data, that we have to learn how to do it, how can we do it, and help them to find that solutions. Of course, there are no money for everyone to have a solar panel on the rooftop, but there are solar communities that can be achieved by a community and have that energy on renewables on the neighborhood. We can create urban farms, then can help people to recreate once again their local vegetables or production. There are solutions that has to be communicated, to be, of course, and here, coming back a little bit, the European community is doing a great job of having a whipping, saying you have to do this. I think that we still have a long way to do. I think that politicians have to listen to people, and this for me is the big mistake. We are not listening. I'm not a politician, but we are not listening because money, you can get it. Have money for so many stupid things. So money, you can get it. It's always you have to be intelligent, and you have to be smarter, and you have to look into what we really need. You can go to the gym to be better, but what's the worst if the planet is not? So be smarter. And I think people can be smarter.
Thank you. I think we will have to conclude our session.
Want to
Yes, João.
I believe it's essential to find a balance with economic, social, and environmental. Okay?
That's sustainability.
If you don't have these three, we don't have success. So we need. I am political, but I am a guy. Okay, I have blood. I have eyes, mouth, like you. So my school is like yours. We are not a strange people, okay? A strange humans. So we need in community. When we go to the school and we talk with the teacher, it's not easy. It's not easy, but you are my teacher. You were my teacher. So what's happened? Can you listen me? Can I talk with you? No. You are a political guy, so go out. So we need to change a lot in
the perception.
Community. Yes, because we have mistake a lot. I worked in a company and I make mistakes. My bosses make mistakes. All of us. In community we need to change and think, and the principle is balance in whole. Now we change the plastic, so we don't have many more plastic. So now we go to the paper, and everything is in paper, but we we forgot that we need 3 to have paper. So balance, people, keep calm. Okay, we escovar os dentes with
we brush our teeth.
Brush our teeth with bamboo.
We will need bamboo
from China. Okay, so it's stupid. So keep calm and balance. So I think
I didn't want to beat you. Now, too quickly, we are out of time. So I'm not going to say I'm not against.
Sorry,
I will have to work with you. It's the differences.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I think to conclude. The major focus of ourselves as a community is to raise our global awareness, to see these challenges and as a whole, and the answers, they come naturally because the politicians, the teachers, they reflect our collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So if we raise our consciousness, we can raise and improve the decision making.
Just a moment. My mom is teacher and my wife is teacher, okay?
So I want to thank Paul Peterson, Nuno Fideles, and João Machado for their contribution, and I want to thank you for your attention.